Hi Stampers, welcome to Great Inspirations. My name is Kim Tolbert, and today we're going to continue my Stamp Happy Holidays series. As you can see, I have scraps, lots of scraps of pattern paper. Now, this particular package is what contains scraps from a collection of pattern paper that I absolutely loved. So I have kept these all together. I must have bought 2 or 3 packages of this paper. And that was maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4. But every year I do bring these out, and over time I am using up these scraps. And then here is a larger bag of scraps that I have collected. And actually it is dwindling down a bit as well, as I have been using them over the past few years for my Christmas cards. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I have 2 card outlines, two card layouts that use scraps. So let's take a look. Here is the first one. It's very simple. It's just your normal card base, a mat that's 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and then 4 rectangles of paper. And you can use all the same, different, whatever you care to do. And those are cut at 1 7/8 by 2 1/2 and just matted. It's basically you're matting on here a 3 3/4 by 5 inch layer. It's just, in sections. So you can do that in the landscape orientation or in the portrait orientation. And basically all I've done is use these scraps. I've used some metallic, well, for this one, some metallic papers and some gems, and for this one just some metallic snowflakes to just kind of make them a little more festive. But we'll walk through how to make one of these cards, and whether you make the landscape or the portrait, the process is exactly the same. Move these over here, and now this I think is my favorite. It's very simple. It's just 2 strips of the paper, and they are each 5 inches long, and then one of them is 2 1/8 and the other is 1 7/8 wide. And the reason for that is that gives you a little wiggle room to layer this piece over that, so the edges of the papers don't have to match up identically. Then all I've done to this, of course, is use a gold mat, and then used a gold mat for the lettering. I see my little dot for my eye has migrated from there to under the M. I'll have to fix that later. I can do that. But anyway, we're going to walk through how to make this one as well. So first, let's start with the 4 rectangles. That's very easy to do. And we'll just pull this out. I have this is Granny Apple Green. It's Stampin' Up! Cardstock. This is polished pink. And here's my papers. There's this one with the snowflake pattern, and this one with the little dots. Now, as you can see, the background, it's not white, it's a vanilla, so I used vanilla cardstock for my inside. And I had a strip of this left, so I just put it along the top of the inside piece of our card. And this is going to be the mat. And here will be our focal image, these little elves. So all we have to do is line these up like this. Now, if you were going to do, this is a portrait version, if you were going to do landscape, just turn it like that. But you still line them up exactly the same. Just want to make sure there's an even border, as even as you can get it, at the top and the bottom, and sort of in between each of these. And when you get it the way you want it, get your adhesive, and we'll start with this corner down here. Okay, hold these in place. Line it up just as best you can. There's one down. Now I'm moving over to the next one. Putting on some adhesive. Lining it up. There we go. And now we'll do the next two. Just do the very best you can. And then the very last one. There we go. Now we can put this on our card base. I think this card base, I'm not sure I used my bone folder on it after I folded it. There we go. There's that, and now we have our focal image. I think I'll put it on some dimensionals. Now, if you didn't have dimensionals, or if you don't have foam tape, another thing you can do, this die cut right here, you could cut out multiples of it, like 3 or 4, adhere them to the back, adhere them all together, and then put them on here, and that will give you some dimension. Or if you would rather, you could just adhere it directly to the card. And we'll open it up and put the inside in. And the inside of this one is 3 3/4 by 5. And there we go. There's that card. Isn't that cute? And it's made with scraps. So that is the 4 rectangles. That's what those cards look like. Now we'll move on to our other card, which I have no idea what I did with. Oh, there it is. It was hiding from me. Just the 2 strips. So, see what we have here. There's the inside of the card, and again, I just took the paper, and this is 1 inch by 5. And here's our focal piece. Now, for this one, I just used the greeting. I didn't put anything between these 2 strips, but on this one, I thought it needed something, so I cut this very thin piece of red cardstock, and it is 5 inches by 1/4 inch. But this is basically the same process as for this card. It's just 2 strips instead of 4, and we're going to make it a landscape. So this is the piece that's just a little wider than the other one. And if you would like, you can put adhesive right here. But what I usually do, I'm going to get me a little mat here. Is I put adhesive along the top of this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put adhesive on this and get it on our panel. Now, these two strips are taking the place, again, of a panel that is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So we're going, and this is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So we're going to want to line this up so there's an even border on 3 sides, as even as we can get it. Okay, now here's the paper we're going to use. I'm going to put some adhesive along the top here. Bring this down here. And we're going to try to get that border as even as we can. The bottom and the sides. And there we go. Now, we're going to, well, we'll use this. I was going to use some glue, but we'll just put some little strips of this along the way. Make sure there's none sticking out on the edge. And then we're going to put that right along here. There we go. Now, we can put that on our card base. And let's put the inside in. Merry Christmas. I like using the 5 by 3 3/4 pieces for the insides because I like to have this wider border of the card base show. Now we have our Making Spirits Bright, and we can put that on dimensionals as well. Oh, let's put one in the middle. Remove the backings. We'll put this right here. And there we go. Making Spirits Bright. So we can use our scraps in strips, or of course we can use them in some rectangles, or you could use squares. You could even use circles if you like. But I just wanted to give you a little inspiration and you know, go out and use your scraps. Let's use what we have. Now, all these measurements, these cards will all be on my blog, the measurements and the supplies I used. And at the very bottom of my blog post, there will be a list of some of the supplies that I used and a reference as to where you can find those. And you can find the link to that blog post in the description of this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. And until next time, stamp happy.